Okay, let us understand some more concepts in today's class. So in today's class, first of all, I'll tell you how to create. First of all, I'll try to tell you how to create entity type and entity set in OData ABAP services. First, we'll focus on how to create entity type and entity set in OData ABAP services. So as I told you already, you can see entity type is just like your collection of fields. Entity type is just like collection of fields here. So that is nothing but like entity type.
Vijay, I'm not.
Hello? Yeah, so collection of fields is nothing but an entity type. And in OData services, we have one more option like entity. So entity is nothing but it can store a single record at a time. It can store single record at a time. That is nothing but an entity here. So it looks like this. And that is nothing but an entity. And similarly, we have one more option that is entity set. So entity set is nothing but we can store collection of records. We can store something like collection of records. It can be 1002. Some values like this. (1004). So it looks like this. So we can create an entity set. An entity set at runtime can store collection of records like this. It's like entity set. So according to normal ABAP, as I told you, entity type is something similar to your structure. Entity is something like a work area. And entity set is something like an internal table. So you can compare entity type as a structure. You can compare entity as work area. And you can compare entity set with an internal table. Hello students, are you able to follow me? Volume and screen sharing is perfect or any problem? Okay. What about others? Can you hear me? Yeah.
Yes, no problem.
Okay. So let me proceed now. So these are the main options in our OData entities, in our OData ABAP services. These are the three main options which we need to handle inside our coding part. Entity type, entity, and entity set. So before we proceed, let me write a simple note. It's like collection of fields. Entity is like to hold single record at a time. and entity set is to hold collection of records at a time. So these are the three main options. So in today's class, I'll tell you how to create an entity type first along with entity set. After that, we'll understand some more options. So let us understand this first. How to create entity type and entity set in our OData service. So you can see I'm going to SEIT. I'm going to SEIT, that's a T code. So under this T code, we can create our OData ABAP services. Something like Z OData project, something like that. SEGW, not SEIT. SEGW is the T code. SEIT is not for this one. SEGW is the T code. Under the T code, you can create your OData services. So this project is not available, so let me create. I want to create that project, so you can click on create symbol here. Provide some project name, and in real time always save it in a package. In real time always save it in a package so that you can transport your OData services from development to quality, then to production. So that you do it in real time, but now you can see we have to provide one description here. So you can save it now. And when you save it, as I told you, you will get these four options mainly. You'll get these four main options: data model, service implementation, runtime artifacts, and service maintenance. You'll get those four options. So let me write a simple note here. Sorry, SEGW, then create Z OData project with default settings and save it in package. So after doing this, now I have decided to create one entity type and entity set. I've decided to create an entity type and entity set. So before that, let me go to one database table structure in SE11. Let me open SE11. So in SE11, say for example, there is a table here. You can use standard table or custom table, it doesn't matter. In my case, I'm using a Z user info table here. In my case, I'm using Z user info table, and let us see what are the fields available here. You can see there are some fields like user ID, first name, last name, email ID, phone number, country, salary. So there are some fields like this. There are some fields like this. So, and you can see the data types here. I've taken something like char 5 and char 10 and char 10, and you can see integer 4. User ID is char 5, first name is char 10, and you can see salary is integer 4 data type here. So by using these fields, I want to create my entity type and entity set. So what you need to do is you can right click data model you can right click data model and you can import a DDIC structure here. You can import a DDIC structure, and by providing structure name, you can create your entity type and entity set. So let me do that. So the first option is you have to provide something like an entity type here. And you need to provide your data dictionary structure. For example, Z user info. You have to provide data dictionary structure, that is Z user info, because this structure contains my required fields. And you can see there is an option to create an entity set. When you select this checkbox, along with entity type, entity set is also created when you select this checkbox. So what I mean to say is, so in this particular step, we are creating an entity type by providing DDIC structure, and we are also creating an entity set. So the first option will be taken as entity type. First option is taken as entity type, and the second option is your DDIC structure from S11, and the third option is your entity set, and entity set will be created as EMP set. So don't worry about other options, okay? I'll take time and I'll explain some other concepts. When I'm focusing on one topic, don't think about other topics, okay? That will trouble me and that will trouble others as well, and it will lead to confusion. So as of now, I'm creating an entity type, an entity set, and if the entity type is EMP, then entity set becomes EMP set. If the entity type is EMP, then entity set becomes EMP set here. So in this single screen, we are creating both at a time, entity type and entity set. So let me write those steps here. You can just right click on data model and create by import of DDIC structure. And you have to provide entity type equal to, for example, EMP, and provide DDIC structure equal to something like Z user info, Z user info, and there will be create entity set, so you can select that checkbox. You can select that checkbox, okay? Don't worry about other options, okay? Because I can't concentrate on all 100 options in a single day. So you need to understand that point. So in different classes, in different examples, we'll understand different options. Don't try to understand all things in a single example. That will trouble you. So these are the three options we have configured, and you can just click on next here and just choose the required fields. And so let me do that. You can just see here. I'm just connecting to that. SEGW. And this is the project already created. Okay, it is not saved. And you can see here data model. Let me right click, import from DDIC structure. So provide entity type, for example, EMP with Z user info and select this checkbox, entity set. And you can click on next button here and you can choose the required fields. So user ID, first name, last name, email ID, phone number, country, salary. So these are the fields I'm taking here. And you can click on next option. And when you are creating entity type, one of the field must be a key field. When you're creating entity type, one of the field must be a key field. So I'm selecting user ID as a key field. Then click on finish. You can also have multiple key fields that we are going to understand in the coming classes. And because of that procedure, you can see EMP is entity type and EMP set is entity set here. You can see EMP is entity type and that contains some required fields here now. So these are taken from DDIC structure. And you can see here EMP set. EMP set is treated as an entity set. EMP set is treated as entity set and EMP is an entity type and it contains your fields here. These are the fields. So I'm just trying to save it. Choose one of the field as key field, then you can continue. Then save it. So that is a very basic procedure to create entity type, entity set. Now, what I want to do is I want to generate some runtime classes. I want to generate runtime artifacts here. As I told you, runtime artifacts will be helpful for implementing the service as well as for executing the service. So under runtime category, I can say MDL. So that we call it as a registered model. And underscore SRV. So that technically we call it as registered service. Underscore MPC. Yesterday I gave these points. So that is nothing but a model provider class. And there is underscore MPC underscore EXT. So that is model provider extension class. And there will be underscore DPC. So that is nothing but a data provider class here. Underscore DPC underscore EXT. So we consider it as data provider extension class. So all these together, all the above options, we consider it as runtime artifacts. We consider them as runtime artifacts, and I can say these runtime artifacts are used to implement the service and execute the service. These runtime artifacts are objects. SRV, MDL, DPC, DPC extension, MPC, MPC extension. So all these things will be created as part of runtime artifacts. So we are going to use these options in order to implement the service as well as to execute a service. So you can just click on continue and you can save it in package in real time. So after that, you can see now there is a runtime artifact folder. Under runtime artifact folder, you can see all these options. You can see them. SRV, MDL, MPC extension, MPC, DPC extension, and DPC. So all options will be are part of runtime artifacts folder here. So just you need to click on this button to generate those options. To generate all these 6 options, you need to click on this icon. There is a red color icon, you can click on that. So just let me write a note. Under SEGW, choose generate runtime. Every day we are going to use this, don't worry, this is the first time we are doing, but in the coming classes also we are going to do this for each and every service. So in SEGW you have to choose generate runtime objects and just save it in package or local objects. So that is one of the options to generate all those 6 options when you click on this icon. Generate runtime objects is an icon, just click on that, it will generate. So it generates all required runtime artifacts. So that is a general procedure to do that. But let us understand what happens inside model provider class. As of today, let us understand what exactly model provider class contains. Let us understand that. So just let me double click that. Here today we are not developing any service, we are just trying to understand some options, okay? So I'm trying to double click on something like a MPC class here, that is model provider class. So just let me double click that here. So when you double click, you can see there is one method generated with define underscore EMP. One method is auto generated as define underscore EMP. EMP is our entity set. It is an entity type. In our case, EMP is entity type. So according to that, a method is generated here. So you can see now, when you double click that method, the code inside that method is also auto generated. The code inside that method is also auto generated here. You can see several lines of code is auto generated. But let me tell you here, you can see under this method, the code is auto generated by registering the entity type as EMP. You can see entity type as EMP. Under that entity type, you can see one of the field as user ID. The field is taken as user ID here. and it is treated as a key field. And the data type is string with length 5. And the second field you can see first name with data type length with data type string and length is 10. And you can see the third field last name, it is registered with string length 10 characters here. And of course email ID, string data type length 15. And you can see phone number, country, salary, and you can see salary is having a data type as int 32. And most importantly, all those fields are taken from our structure, that is Z user info. All the fields are registered in this particular class by taking the structure name as Z user info. And you can see here the entity set is registered as EMP set. And many more things are internally registered here. So what I mean to say is, whatever we do with respect to entity type, the fields, entity set type, length, all those things are registered inside this single method under MPC class. So what I mean to say is, a model provider class contains metadata. That is the point you need to remember when you are attending interviews. It contains metadata of our OData ABAP service. So what exactly metadata means here? So metadata means, I can say, the name of our entity type. The name of our entity type, that comes under metadata. And the name of our entity set, that also comes under metadata. And the name of our dictionary structure. So that also comes under metadata. And the name of each field is part of metadata. And the data type of each field, that type of each field, so that also comes under metadata. And then length of each field, so that is also part of metadata, and etc., etc. So all this together we call it as a metadata. So metadata is registered in model provider class always. So this metadata will be used by the service during the program execution, or during the service execution, the metadata is used by the service. So without metadata, you can't execute a service. So service internally will use this class in order to execute your service at runtime. And let me tell you one more thing here. You can see this class should not be modified by a developer. This is not given for us. It is just taken care by the framework. So read this statement here. Never modify this class. That means this is not a class related to a developer. This is used by the framework. This class, which is auto-generated with some options, those options are not allowed to change. A developer should not change inside the class, because this class is for framework purpose. It is used by the framework at runtime to execute our functionalities. So I can say, very important thing here, whatever you see, it is not for us. Whatever you see, everything is not for us. Please remember that. So some things are used by the framework, some things we have to implement. So whatever we see, don't think everything is for us. Some options are for framework, some options are for developer. So as far as model provider class is concerned, is used by the framework. It is used by framework for executing the service with metadata. So what I mean to say is model provider class should not be modified by a developer. Just notice that point. In the coming classes, you'll get some more clarity. But as of now, I can say model provider class should be used by the framework, but not by the developer. So that is important point. And not only that, you can see here, there is a type section. There is a type section. Under type section, you can see a table structure and table type. They are also auto-generated here. A table structure, TS means table structure, TT means table type. So they are also auto-generated here. So that also comes under metadata. Table structure, and table type, they are also auto-generated here. So these are the things that are important as far as model provider class is concerned. Now, not only that, you can see here, let me go to data provider extension class. Let me go to data provider extension class here. Just let me double click that. I'll explain in detail in the coming classes, but as of today, the only point that you need to understand here is there will be several standard methods inside this class. In DPC extension class, there will be several standard methods, and apart from that, there are 5 important methods here. There are 5 important methods. Let me bring it to diagram, and you can see this is our entity set name. And for every entity set, automatically 5 methods will be created. One is create entity, delete entity, get entity set, update entity. So all 5 methods are generated based on the entity set. 5 methods are generated automatically based on the name of your entity set. Now, say for example, think like this. I want to create something like one more entity type. And one more entity set with one more structure. Then let us understand what happens now. So think like this. I'm going back to our SEGW. I want to create one more entity type and one more entity set. So let us see how the things will happen and what type of changes will happen. Let us understand that. So you can right click data model. You can import DDIC structure. I'm creating one more, for example, product here. For example, the second entity type is product, and Z user details is the structure I'm using. Z user detail structure I'm using, and I'm trying to click on entity set also. So entity type, entity set, both will be created in this screen. So just click on next button here, and when you click on next button, you can see I'm getting some fields: user ID, product code, product name, and product price. So I'm getting some fields here. So if you click on next button, you can choose something like one of the field as a key field, and you can click on finish here. Now you can see there is another entity type which contains the fields. Another entity type is created with the fields like product code, product name, product price. And one more entity set is created as product set here. One more entity set is created as product set here. So now, after creating one more entity type, one more entity set, what should happen is the metadata should be updated now. You have created one more entity type, one more entity set, but the metadata also must be updated. That's the reason why you need to regenerate runtime artifacts now. In that situation, you need to regenerate runtime artifacts. You have to regenerate. So how to do that? Very simple. You can just click on the same button again. When you click on same button again, so it will regenerate the runtime artifacts here, and it also will update the metadata. It will regenerate some classes, and it also regenerate the metadata according to the latest settings. Whatever the settings we made just now, those settings will be updated inside that runtime artifacts folder. So what is a guarantee now? You can see here. I'm going to MPC class. This is just to make you understand. I'm going to MPC class. And you can see now there is one more method added here. There is one more method added, that is define EMP is a first entity type, define product is another entity type. So based on that, two methods are generated here. Two methods are auto-generated here. And not only that, you can see its metadata, product-related metadata is also maintained here inside that method. Just let me double click. Now you can see product is a new entity type, and product code is one of the field. Product code is one of the field. Product name is another field. Product price is the third field. And product set is the entity set. So what I mean to say is, whatever entity types, entity set, whatever fields you use, everything will be updated in model provider class when you regenerate with that option. The metadata gets updated automatically when you runtime artifacts. So not only that, you can see here, I'm going to type section. I'm going to type section here. Under type section also, you can see one more table structure, one more table type is generated. And this is the earlier table structure, and this is the earlier table type. So table structure, table type is also created for a product. And not only that, you can see there is a data provider extension class. Let me double click that. So you can see now, if you closely observe last 10 methods, if you closely observe the last 10 methods, you can see now first entity set contains 5 methods here. And you can see the second entity set also contains 5 more methods. It also contains 5 more methods here. So these methods, we technically call it as CRUD methods. We call them as CRUD methods here. So CRUD methods are generated for each and every entity set. That is the point. CRUD methods are generated for each and every entity set, whatever you create in your OData service. If you create the third one, if you create third entity set, then definitely you can get 5 more methods. If you create fourth entity set, then you'll get 5 more methods. So overall, what I mean to say is, under single OData service, we can create multiple entity types, and we can also create multiple entity sets, and accordingly the metadata is updated in model provider class when we regenerate runtime artifacts. So that is a point you need to notice. So and at the same time, I can say for each entity set, 5 CRUD methods. For each entity set, there exist 5 CRUD methods, like create entity is a method name. That is a method name. And delete entity or get entity is another method. Then get entity set. Every day we are going to use these things. First time it looks a little bit confusion, but when we proceed further in the coming classes, it becomes simple because this is a routine process. Create, get, then update entity is another method. Then delete entity is another method. So these are the CRUD methods. And according to terminology, I can say create entity comes under C, get entity comes under R, and get entity set also comes under R category, that means read. And this comes under update entity comes under U, and this comes under D. So that's the reason why these methods are known as CRUD methods. For each entity set, definitely 5 CRUD methods will be generated in data provider extension class. They will be created in data provider extension class. But you need to know how data provider extension class is generated. So there is long story for this that I'll explain in the coming classes. How data provider extension class is generated, what is the architecture it follows, that we are going to understand in the coming classes. But as of now, these are the points that should be on your fingertips before developing our actual services. This class is just to introduce the terminology. I did not do anything practically, but by using all these options, we are going to do it practically in the coming classes. Okay, we are going to implement some database operations by using all these terms. Okay. Okay, students, so if you have any doubts, you can ask me.
Vijay, this is Harsha.
Okay.
Just like we are using the tables as in data sources, can we use an BW extraction methods? Like we'll create extractors, right, for the BW system and the ECC system.
Okay, what do you mean by extractor here?
Basically, we use a table and create an extractor in RSO2. So, can that extractor be used for as a data source?
So here you can see there is an option like you can, I think for BW point of view, there is only one option like BW query service here. That's the only option available for this.
Okay.
There is no direct connection between our SEGW and BW services. But what happens is the BW query services can be redefined here.
Okay.
Okay. This is the only option we have, connection with BW system from gateway server.
Okay. Okay.
Yeah.
Vijay, Praveen here.
Yeah.
Hi Vijay, Praveen here.
Okay.
Vijay, like as you said, we have to create the entity through DDIC, referring DDIC. Can we have any local types?
Yes, why not? Without DDIC also you can create.
Okay, I mean, can you show that example or today or in the coming classes? I mean,
that will come in the coming classes. Don't worry. So without entity, without DDIC structure also, we can create our local fields with our general data types like string, something like int32, int64, or you can use like string data type or binary data type. We can use local fields without referring to the DDIC structure. So that also I'll cover in the coming classes.
Okay,
Hello, sir.
thank
you. Yeah.
Hello?
Hello.
Hello, sir.
Yeah, hello.
Sir, I have a doubt, sir.
Okay.
While creating the entity set and entity type from DDIC, all the records are imported into this procedure while creating the project?
Not the records. We are not talking about records here. We are talking about fields in today's class.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. We are importing that fields in from DDIC into this right project.
Yes, but whatever fields you want, you can select here.
That's what I'm. Apart from that, the records also will be getting into this one, or
for getting the records, we are going to write the code under the CRUD methods.
Okay. Yeah.
Okay. So
Hello.
this is just to get the fields, but to get the records, we are going to implement the code inside CRUD methods.
Okay, sir.
Yeah. Then what about others?
Hello, sir.
Yeah.
Hello.
You can speak now.
Hello.
Yeah. Hello.
Hello, sir. Hello.
Hello.
Hello, sir.
Yeah, I can hear you.
Yeah, I'm new for this course.
Okay. Is this your first class?
No, second class.
Okay.
Actually, my domain is not related to SAP.
Okay.
Any knowledge is required?
No, from which background you are from?
MCA.
MCA, but you are not aware of SAP, anything related to SAP or any programming? Are you aware of any programming or something like that?
Yeah, .NET.
Okay. Did you work on that technology?
No, sir.
So I think this course will not be suitable for you.
Okay.
Okay, because we require one of the programming knowledge, at least some experience in that programming, or you should have at least some knowledge on core ABAP. Some programming concepts are required. It can
Okay.
be ABAP or something else like HTML or whatever.
Yeah, I know HTML and JavaScript.
Okay, then in that case, what you do is just try to, in that case, you can attend OData services. In OData services, you'll understand how to send and receive the data. But in real time, you focus on UI5 part and theory part.
Okay.
Got my point?
Yes, sir.
Okay, but you listen to OData also, because in OData, you will understand how we transfer data and how we receive and how we send the data.
Okay.
Okay, but you concentrate more on UI5 part. That will come after 15 classes.
Okay.
Okay, so after 15 classes, I'll be going with HTML UI5 theory part. So that part is suitable for you.
Okay, sir.
Yeah.
The jobs. Sorry. Can I
Yeah.
speak to?
Yes, you can speak
Speak
now.
in Telugu. Telugu.
Yeah, you can speak, no problem.
Yeah. Actually, jobs are sorry. Jobs ఎలా ఉంటాయి సార్ దీనికి? I'm a fresher actually.
Okay, but here the point is like companies are recently implementing these particular technologies like UI5, OData, HANA, etc. These are all new technologies coming up. So from last 3 months onwards, we could see some openings in Naukri website.
Okay.
Okay, so definitely openings ఉంటాయి. But the only thing is you need to practice thoroughly before you apply for a job.
Okay.
Okay, yeah.
Thank you.
Then what about others?
Yeah, hi Vijay.
Yeah.
Yeah, this I just want to know.
Yeah, Gaurav? Yeah.
Yeah. So I just want to know the data type which we defined for a salary in our DDIC. That was different, and when we imported here, I can see it's integer 32.
Exactly. So, yes, I got your point. So the point here is ABAP data types are not considered directly in OData. OData data types will be different. So whatever ABAP data types we use, according to ABAP data types, the equivalent data type will be automatically converted in OData service.
Okay, so the length will be automatically adjusted accordingly
Exactly.
for the US. Okay.
Exactly. So OData service will have its own data type which is equivalent to ABAP, but not exactly same.
Okay, got it.
Yeah. What about others?
Vijay, Malaya here.
Yeah.
We have used a structure here to create a OData entity, right?
Yes.
And we also use a table. After all, table is a structure, right?
Yeah, that's I've used a table itself, but we are calling it as a structure because I was referring to the fields.
Okay.
You can see that's the table itself.
Okay.
Yeah.
Is there any limit on number of entity types within a single data model?
I don't think so. I don't think. But as of now, as far as my experience is concerned, we did not reach that particular limit, so I did not understand what is the maximum limit. And in documentation also, there is no specific count on that entity types and entity sets.
Okay, in best practice, in a code, because it appears all the methods are getting appearing to be clumsy in the same set, right? So
Yes,
we
exactly.
created
Yes.
EMP and we created product, and then there are 10 methods which are appearing clumsy. So
Okay.
is there any way where we can segregate, or there is no option?
No, definitely all those methods based on the entity set, definitely the CRUD methods will be generated whether you use or not.
Okay.
Whether you use or not, the CRUD methods will be generated for every entity set. So functionality depends on your choice. If you want to implement, then redefine, then implement the code. Otherwise, you can ignore. There is no guarantee that you should implement all the methods. Whichever methods you want to implement, you implement. Remaining things you can ignore. Okay? No one will force you to implement all methods of all entity sets. Yeah. Then what about others?
Hi Vijay, this is
I
Mahendra.
wanted to know that,
No, Naveen, yeah, you can speak now.
yeah, okay. So what I wanted to know, like here we took a table, right? So in table we have key field many times, but in case of structure we usually don't have such key field. So what exactly will make sense to make a key field here?
Here what happens is when you send the data to SAP UI5 or when you send the data to front end, so definitely there should be one field at least in entity type, even if it is not in the backend system.
So, okay. So for example, let's say we have a SYSP, there is a one structure, right? So just for purpose, if we are sending that data, so in that case, what we will make a key field over there? Because in SYSP, I don't think so there is any key field, right?
No, key field is not compulsory in your structures, but entity type requires one of the field as key field.
Okay. So I would request you that whenever we will take a structure, in that case, you just please clarify that what will be the purpose or what would be your idea to make
No. The thing is, in entity type you are making the field as key field. In entity type you are making the field as key field, but it doesn't have any problem with your operations. You can have all operations based on the key field and based on the non-key fields as well. Okay. As far as operations and manipulations are concerned, there won't be any effect on that. You can have operations on key field, you can have operations on non-key field, and you can combine key and non-key fields as well. Okay, all options are possible. Whatever we do in normal ABAP, we can do it here.
Sir, sir, in this part in SCGW, we all the logic and but in UI5, I mean by using Eclipse, we design the screens, right?
Exactly.
Okay, that part is after some.
Yeah, that Eclipse part will come after 15 classes.
Yeah, okay.
Okay, yeah. What about others?
Others, and igniting more courses.
Yeah, who is this? Hello?
Hello.
Yeah.
Vijay, this is Anil.
Okay.
Vijay, to make classes, can you conduct some other alternatives?
Yeah, I'll just talk to you offline, okay?
Okay, sure.
Yeah. Then Ajit.
Yeah, Vijay, hello.
Yeah.
And this is Ajit here, and I have a question. Like, if suppose you are creating 2 or 3 projects, can we like all the projects with each other?
I think between project to project there won't be any interlink.
Okay.
Okay, so these projects we are going to use it in front end by linking those things. For example, you can see it looks like this. So in our OData level, definitely you can have different things like this. Please try to mute yourself. So I'm just trying to clarify his doubt. So there can be OData project 1, OData project 1, and you can have OData project 2, and inside OData project 1, assume that there are 2 things here. And these 2 things you can consume in a single front-end application. That is what happens. Linking of these things can happen in the front-end area like UI5 or Fiori. So in single front-end application, you can consume multiple OData services. That is a point. Okay. Yeah, Ajit, did you get my point?
Yeah.
Clear?
Hello?
Yeah.
Yeah, I got your point. So in that case, only one services will be, we are creating only one service and we are giving in the front end.
No, we can create different services and all those multiple services can be consumed in UI5. That's the point I was talking about.
Okay.
You can
So means
create
for each project, it will be one service and
exactly.
for other project, it will be different, but it can be consumed
Exactly.
together. Okay.
Yes.
Okay.
Every project has one service name and under that service you can have different functionalities. You can have something like functionality 1,
Yeah, it is clear
functionality
now.
2. So that can happen here. And here you can have functionality 4, functionality 5, something like this. But all these functionalities together we can access from front end.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
And while creating the entity type, there is something complex type.
That
What is
we'll
that?
discuss in the coming classes when I go for expanded entity set. We are
Okay.
going to have when we are going to have a deep structure or nested structures. In that case, we can use a complex type.
Okay. While creating the project, you said like there is a default setting we should select. Is there any other kind of settings will do as per the requirement?
Default setting means just provide the description and then you can continue.
Okay.
Then what about others?
Hi, Vijay.
Yeah, who is this? Any doubts? Lohit?
Yeah, Vijay, I have a doubt. Okay, see, while generating the objects, right? There was versions for service and model class.
Yes.
Service, there was a version number. So every time you regenerate the version, every time you regenerate the objects, right? The version number will be incremented or how? What is the purpose?
Yes, it will be. Yes, it will be incremented, and the latest settings will be in the latest version.
Okay, so if you want to retrieve the old version, we can go back, right?
Exactly.
So at that time, what will happen to the entity type and entity set that have been incorporated, right? That will also be deleted or
generally what happens is if you want to go back to the original settings, you have to go back to the older version. If you want the latest entity types and latest metadata, then definitely you have to use the latest version only. Otherwise, there will be inconsistency.
Okay.
Inconsistency.
Inconsistency will be there. So you mean that if you go back to the previous versions, the entity set will be deleted or how?
It will not be deleted in if you are using the previous versions in model provider class. What happens is all those things will be stored in one particular table. All those things will be stored in one particular table. I'm not sure what's the table name. Let me just this is a table IWBEP. In that table, all the versions will be stored of all the classes.
Okay.
So whichever you want, you can retrieve from there.
Okay,
I_SBD_GA. So that table contains all the versions of all the classes which you are regenerating.
Okay, fine. And actually, Naveen asked one question, right, about the primary key, where we will be defining the key field in the entity type as well as in the table. Okay, you told that performing the operations will be done in OData service even, but if I'm trying to do some operation based on the primary key, so which one I have to use? Whether it will be the entity type or it will be on the database key field, which we'll be using, because assume that in table we have employee ID.
Ultimately, the database operations will be operated on the fields based on the database table only. Got my point. This is just to, even I'm not sure why exactly they made it compulsory in entity type, but what happens is the operations will be treated according to the key fields available in database table itself.
Okay.
Yeah. But while creating runtime artifacts, compulsory this field should be, one of the field must be key field. Otherwise, it will not generate those classes. That's a problem.
Okay.
Yeah.
So this will not lead to any inconsistency, right?
That won't be any problem. That won't have any effect in our operations.
Okay. Thank you, Vijay. Yeah, that's
Yeah. What about others?
Hi Vijay. Hi Vijay, Mohan here.
Yeah.
Okay, my questions are not really related to the classes, and then those are like two generic questions that I have. The first one is like, apart from this, besides this course, I mean, what sort of supporting materials that you will provide? That's my question number one. And the question number two is, of course, I mean, maybe after a few days there will be a confirmed list of members who will be interested to attend this class. So is there any possibility of interacting with each other? Because I believe this is more useful for us to share, I mean, some material, some information, what we found, to exchange it between us.
Exactly, that's what. So what happens is, from my side, I'll be sending everyday class material. Everyday class has a note file with diagrams. Got the point? That is every day. But at the same time, I'll try to share the complete material, which is part of SAP itself. Whatever I want to say, whatever I want to teach, that will be everyday class note file with diagrams. But apart from that, if you want some more clarity, or if you miss something, then you can refer from complete material, and they're all the PDF files. They will be PDF files that will be shared with you.
Okay, so that sharing is on one-to-one basis, or can we share something?
No, I'll share it to everyone. I'll share it to everyone.
Okay.
Those who are attending this course.
And then one more is, in case if we found any other useful information or any other PDFs, and then we can share among us, right?
Exactly. Why not?
Okay, perfect. Thanks.
Yeah. Yeah. Then what about others? Yeah,
Hi Vijay, this is Sunil.
Yeah, Sunil.
Sunil. Yeah, Vijay, we saw the script method. There are 5 methods, right?
Yeah.
In that, I was having looked at it. There's one thing like create entity.
Yes.
Okay. So what about creating entity set? I guess entity is one row.
No.
And
Entity set here you can see this is an entity type and this is an entity set. And entity comes into coding part. Entity.
Okay. No, when
Entity will
in
come
this
into picture. When entity will come into picture only when we go for coding part. And the entity set is here, and this entity type available here.
okay.
Entity type, entity set are available in SEGW. They are directly visible. But entity will come into picture. It will treat as a work area when we go for programming part.
Okay. If you come to CRUD, the CRUD method,
okay,
there are 5 methods, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, this create entity. Does the creating entity set comes under create entity?
Create entity means here it will deal with single record.
Okay. And it will keep on adding to the existing table, right?
Exactly.
Okay.
It's like inserting a record into database table. We do it via this method.
Okay. Okay, got it.
Then
thank you.
What about others? Yeah, thank you.
Hi Vijay.
Yeah, who is this?
This is Bhavana.
Okay.
So my question is, when you generate these artifacts, we are getting MPC, DPC, MPC underscore EXT and DPC underscore EXT extension classes. So my question is, why do we have two classes? When we have MPC, we can have, do we have all the same methods in MPC and MPC underscore extension?
No, the thing is that the internal things will happen. The framework will use your base classes. Developer has to use the extension classes. That is how they have generated 4 classes mainly.
Okay, so I should not touch anything in MPC. I should go do my coding in MPC underscore EXT, right? Is that what you're?
Yeah, MPC underscore extension and DPC underscore extension, but in real time, we use only DPC extension because that contains actual methods.
Okay, yeah, I'm good.
Base classes, let me tell you, base classes will be taken care by the framework to execute your service. The extension classes are used by developer to implement the service. Got it? Yeah, then what about others? Okay, students, so I'll stop for today. In the coming classes, we'll discuss some more concepts, okay? Yeah.